All right, carry on, Jake. Sorry.
Do I have to go back? Hey, happy Friday, everyone.
Oh, no,
Oh,
no.
all right. So we have been working closely with Schwab and with CD to minimize impact to any of our clients. So as I said, your relationship with Brio remains the same. If you're fairly new to the Brio family, if you joined Brio after January 1st, you don't even have to be on this call. There is zero impact to you because all of your assets are already at Schwab. If you are a client that has assets at Schwab and at TD Ameritrade, there will be less impact. And the one thing I want to bring up, because a couple clients asked about it, if you've been with us prior to 2017, you might remember when Brio decided to leave Ameriprise. That was very different than what's happening with Schwab. That was much more complex. That required all new paperwork. This is simply one custodian taking over another custodian's business. The only action that will impact you all, and Michael will get into more details, if you have money that you, what we say, push to your TD Ameritrade accounts, if you have direct deposit going into a TD Ameritrade account, Schwab has no control over those external directions. So like myself, I have a personal bank account where I've set up where I can send money to my TD account. I'm going to have to go in and change that account number. That is the same for each one of you. If you have money that comes out of your account regularly, those instructions will simply go from TD to Schwab. There should be no disruption. The biggest concern for direct deposit is the length of time to which Social Security takes to change a direct deposit instruction. If you have a Social Security account online, you can go in now and make that change online. But if you do it paper, it can take several months for Social Security to change that. So an example of that would be, let's say your Social Security check goes into your TD account. That account now moved to Schwab. Social Security is going to send that, let's say, September's check to your account at TD Ameritrade. Schwab is going to sweep that for at least 3 months into your new account. So again, no action, except we do need to get those instructions changed at some point in time. So to summarize, what I wanted to cover is very minimal disruption. Money going into your TD accounts will have to change account numbers because you're going to get a new account number with Schwab. Your relationship with Brio does not change. And then the one thing I wanted to bring up, we did block off everyone's calendar from the beginning of September for 3 weeks so that we can be accessible for any of you that might have questions or you can't log in or whatever it might be. So the good news is we've cleared all of our calendars. The bad news is it might be difficult to actually schedule a meeting with your advisor or the associate advisor. We will work as hard as we can to accommodate those requests. We also want to make ourselves available for any questions that you might have. And the whole team will be prepared to answer your questions if you need to call in or if you need to email us. All right. With that, I will turn it over to someone who's much more eloquent than I am, Michael Telford.
Thanks so much, Jake. And thanks everyone for your time on this Friday afternoon. We have just a few slides put together that do our best to summarize things. And then because we are, anytime we have a presentation, I do, Shannon, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide, just have to give a brief disclaimer here that, none of this is meant to be individual investment advice. I don't think the topics that we're covering today necessarily would constitute any of that. It's more just discussing the changes and what you need to do to comply with these changes. But just always want to let you know that if you have any financial related questions, please consult with your personal financial advisor or tax advisor to get those questions answered. So the primary things we want to cover is, first off, like Jake said, what is not changing? And your relationship with Brio is absolutely not changing. So the advisors, associate advisors that you work with will still be the people that you work with. TD Ameritrade and Schwab are simply basically a tool that we choose to use. It is not like Jake mentioned, it's not Ameriprise where we are actually affiliated with them. The other things that aren't going to be changing is your login information to the two Brio portals. So on briofg.com, there's My Accounts and there's WealthPath, also known as eMoney. Your login credentials will not be changing. There will be a day or two where we're on the other side of this transition where your list of accounts may not show up exactly on there, but they will be showing up directly on schwaballiance.com, which is something that we'll talk about a little bit further into the presentation. So you will have visibility into your accounts on, up until September 1st on the Brio portals and on TD Ameritrade's advisorclient.com. And then on September 5th, you'll see everything on schwaballiance.com. And September 6th or 7th, everything will show up on My Accounts and WealthPath again. The other things that won't be changing, insurance policies. So if you have a term life insurance policy, for example, with Protective, that's still going to be with Protective. That's not being impacted at all by this acquisition. If you have annuities with Lincoln or another provider, or back at RiverSource still, that again is also not going to be impacted by this. And same for the 529 plans that you may have with My 529 or Bloomwell, not impacted at all by this. A couple other things. So your account titling. So if it's a joint account with you and your partner or you and someone else, that's just exactly how it'll be once it moves over to Schwab. No changes there. The investments that are within your accounts, those will not be changing at all unless you ask us to place trades or anything over that transition period. Otherwise, everything that leaves TD Ameritrade on September 1st will arrive at Schwab and be show to you on September 5th. Linked bank accounts, like Jake mentioned, if we are currently scheduled to send you $10,000 a month to one of your bank accounts, that will continue to happen. Those bank account links are going to stay put, and the scheduled transfers will stay scheduled and still all go out on time. So no action is needed if we are simply pushing money to one of your bank accounts. And then the other two things, your document delivery preferences, those aren't going to be changing unless you want to go in and make a change to them on either advisorclient.com now or schwaballiance.com as of September 5th. And of course, your beneficiary information is all going to stay the same. So to focus on some of the things that are going to be changing, first and foremost, like Jake mentioned, is so the TD Ameritrade, everything is moving to Schwab. But first and foremost is your account numbers. So those new ones have been automatically generated for you. You have probably received them in the mail by now, and if not, they should be in your mailbox any day now. And that will list out what your old account number was at TD Ameritrade and what your new account number is at Schwab. You are also welcome to reach out to a member of Brio, and we can provide those for you as well. Direct deposits, this is the big one. This is the one that there will be some action required if you are pushing money to Brio, whether from another institution or like a direct deposit of a pension, Social Security, an annuity. Here, you are going to have to change your direct deposit information. I think I saw a question pop up in the chat that asked about if you can go ahead and change those direct deposits now. You can't actually, because the Schwab account numbers the Schwab accounts, while they are numbered and we have them already, they're not actually opened. So we don't want to risk any deposits going into an unopened account and getting a rejection. Like Jake mentioned, we will have 3 months of overlap. So it doesn't necessarily matter if next month a deposit goes into the old TD bank instructions. It will just automatically sweep over to your Schwab account. We are still going to act very swiftly that first week of September to get you all of the information that you'll need to make the changes, including the new routing and account number and all of those directions. So expect an email and a phone call from your advisor team at some point during that first week. And especially if you have Social Security, those can take a couple of periods to update. So it's very important with Social Security that if you're depositing that money into Brio, that you act very quickly. A Brio team member is here to help any step of the way. If you'd like them to do a screen share with you while you log into the Social Security website, we'd be more than happy to do that. Please just don't hesitate to ask. For those of you with checkbooks and or TD Ameritrade debit cards, those will work up until September 1st, but as of September 5th, you will need to start using the Schwab debit cards and checkbooks that will be mailed to you if they're not there already at some point over the next week or two. And those will, be able to be used as soon as you activate them on September 5th. Statements and tax forms. So now instead of seeing TD Ameritrade's logo, you will see Schwab's logo on the top of all statements, tax forms, and confirmations. And then depending on the type of activity and the type of accounts you have, you may be receiving both TD Ameritrade and Schwab tax forms for 2023. The TD Ameritrade ones would show activity up until September 1st, and then the Schwab tax forms would show from September 5th through the end of the year. But both tax forms, even though they're from two different institutions, they will both be available on Schwab's website in early 2024, around February or March, depending on when they normally come out. And then the last thing I want to mention is advisorclient.com will be no more, and that is being replaced with schwaballiance.com. So a lot of you have probably already set up access to schwaballiance.com. If you haven't, I encourage you to do so. It's very, very simple. It should just take you a few minutes. And if you go to their website and click new user, I think is the button, you'll be able to see, you just need to provide one of the account numbers and you can get registered. And if you have any questions or difficulty doing that, again, please don't hesitate to reach out and we would be more than happy to screen share with you or hop on a quick phone call and run you through it. Last slide here, I just want to focus on is some of the key dates. And so during the month of August, again, this is when you're going to be getting those key information letters that have the new Schwab account numbers. For those of you that have checkbooks and debit cards, you'll also be getting those. Again, those will start to work on September 5th. September 1st is the last possible day to initiate any wires, deposit checks, and use those TD Ameritrade checks and debit cards. And then you will have no access to view the accounts from September 2nd to the 4th. That's a Saturday through a Monday. It's Labor Day weekend. And during that weekend, everything will get moved over. On September 5th, again, that's going to be the day you can see everything at Schwab. We'll have access to, do trades, send out money, business as usual on September 5th. And like Jake alluded to, for the period of August 28th to September 15th, to make this as seamless as of a transition for all of our clients and just to be available to help with any questions or anyone having any difficulties. We do have limited availability for our advisors. But please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We will be proactively reaching out with all of your new direct deposit instructions at some point over the 5th through the 9th, I believe, that first week. And then for anything time sensitive, we will get back to you same day and get any money movements out same day. We'll be monitoring our inboxes and making sure that everyone's responded to. So I've just done a bunch of talking and would love to just hand it over to the floor here. If anyone has any questions they'd like to voice or put into the chat or anything at all.
We've got some in the chat already. One is, what will be the fees and commissions with transactions on the Schwab account? Will it save money over the fees we incurred with Ameritrade?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I see another question in the chat alluding to wrap fees. So those kind of go hand in hand, so I'll answer them together. A wrap account, WRAP, is simply a managed account where Brio is being compensated a fee to actively manage the investments inside of it for you. Now, given it's a wrap account, one of the things we do is instead of passing on the trading costs to our clients, we absorb all of those costs. So anytime you see trading activity in a wrap account, there is no fee associated with it outside of the percentage that you pay Brio. If you have a self-managed account, so an account that's not considered wrap, I will actually need to double check on the exact fee schedules to see how ETFs and mutual funds. I don't believe ETFs or stocks have any sort of fees unless they're an over-the-counter, like a pink slip security, which are like penny stocks. They sometimes have them. And then mutual funds do have a fee. I just don't know it offhand. But Philip, we can certainly have someone look into that and reach out to you with the exact details.
Hey, Michael, I'm going to expand on that a little bit and then tie it into
Yeah.
the other question about why are you switching to Schwab? So the fees that you pay to Brio are not changing. There are miscellaneous costs that a custodian will pass on to the client. We try to minimize those. And that's why we cover the trading costs. So like a mutual fund is $24.95. Brio pays that on your behalf. There are fees like a wire initiation fee or some of those miscellaneous fees. And I've worked really closely with Schwab for them to mirror the same fees or miscellaneous expenses that TD was charging to our clients. So I don't think you'll see any difference there. Answering the question about why we're switching, this is a decision that's really outside of our control. But let me explain that a little bit further. When we left Ameriprise in 2017, I spent the first year before we left deciding who our custodian would be. TD Ameritrade was clearly the more attractive custodian for Brio and for our clients because the organization was very flat. We had a really good partnership. If we had issues, we could get to the table with someone and get them solved. When Schwab decided to purchase TD Ameritrade, the decision was, do we leave to a different custodian or do we move through the transition? We decided to stay. Schwab is a very reputable company. They're the largest in the industry. And we felt like the service that they will provide our clients will be the same or better than what TD was able to provide. And we would be able to keep the costs the same. I personally am continuing to meet with additional custodians in case this isn't what's best for our clients. That's a really big decision because it requires a lot of work on your part if we were to switch custodians. We think this is the best course of action. We believe in Schwab and we think they're going to do a very nice job for each and every one of you. But just know your interests are first. We always put the client first, our staff members second. And that's how we look at this custodial relationship. If we find that it's not advantageous to our clients, we will continue to research and be prepared to make a switch, but we don't think that's going to happen. So that's a long way to answer that question.
Okay, and then we have Gary's raised his hand. We've got some other things in the chat, but so Gary can rest his hand.
Thank you, Shannon. So my question, first of all, every quarter when the Brio financial statement comes out, I review the metrics, the 1, the 3, and the 5-year returns. Will those returns still be available once the accounts transition over to Schwab? Or
they will be, yeah, Gary. We're still going to keep track of all of that. So all performance data, there will be no gaps in performance data going back to whenever you first started with us. So I believe 2017 was when we left Ameriprise, and so if you potentially as far back as 2017, or if you joined Brio in 2018 or 2019, then we'd have data back until that point.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. We have another question. Some folks are going to be out of the country end of August through September 22nd. Is there anything they need to do or know, since they won't be hopefully checking their emails while away?
The answer to that would be potentially. If you could please email me directly, michael@briofg.com. I'd be happy to look into your situation and get as organized as possible so that you can do everything by the 29th and not have to worry about it from the 30th on. So please, I'll put my email in the chat here so that everyone can have it, but please email me directly and I'll make sure I get back to you early next week.
Okay, great. Thank you, Michael. That's super helpful. And then a question about tax returns. Will we be submitting 1099s from both TD and Schwab?
Potentially, yes. If you had like a brokerage account that has dividends and interest or any sort of trading activity for the first 9 months of the year, and then or the first 8 months of the year, I guess, and then more activity at Schwab the next 4 months of the year, then yeah, you would potentially be getting a 1099 from both firms, but they will be both available on Schwab's website in the tax form section in early 2024. So it should hopefully be as easy as just sending 2 1099s to your accountant or uploading 2 1099s to your tax software. But there could be a chance that you get 2.
Okay, but they'll be stored collectively. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, another question. How will Schwab recognize clients that already have an existing login versus creating a new one? Someone tried entering the last 4 of his social and date of birth in the new login page, thinking it would recognize as an existing client, but it prompted for a new login creation, which he did not do.
Gotcha. Yeah, Steve, my understanding is it should recognize based on the social security and date of birth. If you want to email me as well, that would be great. And I can look into it further for you. It could be something to do with the accounts not being live yet at Schwab, the new ones. I'm really not sure without looking into it and potentially contacting Schwab's tech team, but I'm happy to do that. So please send me an email and I'll get back to you early next week.
Okay, I can, we have an existing email, I'll forward it to you from.
Okay, perfect.
All right, we've got another question. A joint account with her husband, but never established her own login with Brio. Her husband received the letter with a new account number, but she didn't. Can she still establish a new login on Schwab?
Yeah, so anytime there's a joint account, technically the person that's listed first and there's only one social security number that's really tied to that account, even in a joint account. So that could be why just your husband received it if he was listed first. I don't know for sure without seeing exactly how the account's registered. But either way, yeah, you should be able to still get access to your own Schwab portal. Both partners on joint accounts can definitely do that. So feel free again to email me and I can have a member of our team get back to you and help you set up that portal if you're having any difficulties doing it through yourself through schwaballiance.com, but we'd be happy to assist.
And it sounds like Paula was able to get Schwab to walk her through it. Is that right, Paula?
Yeah, exactly. I just called the 800 number and they said, okay, because I already had a login. I'm one of those. So they just kind of walked me through it. Obviously, I won't know till the 1st or the 5th, but they were very helpful.
Oh, good. That's wonderful to hear. Excellent. Thank you for the share. And good to see you, sort of. Or just see your background, but know it well. All right. Any other questions? Okay. Well, we're
Excuse me.
yes. Nancy?
I'm not sure it was covered, but what happens to all the historical reports that were on the website? Do we lose that? Is there any, what happens to our history?
So you meant in regards to like old statements and confirmations and tax forms from previous years that at TD Ameritrade?
I guess maybe this report is on Brio instead. The custodial reports?
Yeah, the custodial reports, those will still be stored on Brio's website. That's the Brio FG My Accounts portal. So those custodial statements will still be there. And then new custodial statements over at Schwab will start being loaded in there towards, I guess, the beginning of October for the end of September statements. But all custodial statements will still be stored on our website and you'll still have access to them.
So the year-to-date values that we see, that column, whatever we had on TD Ameritrade will then grow or be in the Schwab account as well, or
yeah,
like so the ending August number is going to be carried into the year-to-date in September report from Schwab or from Brio.
Yeah, because September 1st is still technically a day that things are with TD Ameritrade, you'll, I believe, be getting two September statements. One that shows 1 day of activity at TD Ameritrade, and then one that shows activity from September 5th onward. So you should be able to look at the two to reference everything, that make sure everything moved over perfectly and whatnot. We'll be checking on that as well. But all of that activity, all of the statements will still be stored online. And like Gary's question earlier as well, we'll still have, accurate reporting of performance on the website also.
Just a clarification, I guess. When we get the December year-to-date annual, everything will be in that report. Both whatever was on TD Ameritrade, and we're not having two reports until the end of the year.
I will actually need to look into that one a bit further. I think, so you're saying at the beginning of the year, or it shows the beginning of the year value, and then it shows the end of year value in December. You're wanting to know if the Schwab statement will know what the beginning year value was at TD Ameritrade.
Right, so that we have 12 months in that statement and are not, fooling around with two different.
Yeah, I'll need to look into that one.
Year-to-date.
That's a great question. I'll look into it, and we can reach out, Nancy.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, another question here. We don't need to make a change if we already have an existing Schwab account, correct, for the login?
Yeah, if you already have an existing Schwab account, you should still be able to keep your same username and password, and the new accounts will be able to show up under that. If for whatever reason you don't see them show up on September 5th, we can call TD Ameritrade's tech team and get them to merge it behind the scenes, and then I think you'll be able to see it at that point forward.
I have a question.
Yes, hey,
Yeah.
Judy.
I understand that you're sending out our allowances, as I call them, is not going to change, and that we have to set up our new incoming, like from Social Security, once we get their routing number. I just wanted to clarify, when you said we didn't have to worry about moving money from bank to bank. If I move money to, say, one of my kids' bank accounts for something they're doing, I don't have to worry about that. That's all being taken care of because it's an outgoing to another bank.
That's correct. Yeah. Any instructions that were on file at TD Ameritrade for us to have the ability to either push or pull from a bank account that you've already signed and given permission for that account to be linked, those don't need to change. You don't need to worry about those. There's nothing that's going to change. Those will continue as normal. The only action that's required is if from your side, you are either pushing or pulling money from TD Ameritrade or having a direct deposit that goes into TD Ameritrade. But if anything that's going on right now from TD Ameritrade to a bank that we've set up and are initiating for you, that will continue at Schwab.
And Judy, in some of the information that was sent from Schwab, there was a trifold white pamphlet kind of thing. In the last page of that, it lists all the routing numbers and the information you would need to change money going from one of your external accounts to Schwab.
Huh.
And then on one of the letters, if you had multiple accounts, would be the actual new Schwab account number. So this is just a picture. I don't know if it's not going to show up, but if you have any questions on that or need that information, just reach out to someone in our office.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I'll look again. I've kept everything. I'll look through it again.
Okay.
And just a reminder that if you do have the routing number and your account numbers for those direct deposits, or to link a bank and send money to this account, that won't work until September 5th. So please don't make any changes until September 5th.
Hey, Shannon, can you send to Judy just that one page?
Okay. Thanks, Shannon. I'll look again, but
No problem.
I have a question.
Yes.
So I tried to log into the briofinancialgroup.com and it doesn't recognize the password. So it also won't let me reset it either. And what I get is a lengthy message that says contact your advisor.
Yeah, did you click on My Accounts or WealthPath in the upper right corner?
No, so I just went to briofinancialgroup.com and
Is it briofg.com?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it wouldn't, like I said, it didn't recognize it, and then it wouldn't let me reset it. It sent me a long thing about resetting it, call my advisor.
Gotcha. Would you mind sending me an email? I'll put it in the chat once more, and I can have that. We can look into that and get you your login instructions. It could have been that there was a period of inactivity, so it's requiring us to reset it on our end. I believe that's probably the case, but it should be pretty quick for me to look into and activate again.
Okay, let me go. All right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
So I would like to say that, first of all, thanks for your patience, for attending, for the questions. We apologize that there is work that you might have to do because of, Schwab's purchasing TD Ameritrade. Just know we will be here to help in any way that we can. We'll be as available as possible, and hopefully we will minimize any disruption to you all personally.
Yes, absolutely. And reach out. You can certainly reach out to Michael. You can reach out to any one of us. We'll get you the help you need. You can also just reach out to hello@briofg.com because it just might be easier to remember. But we're here for you every step of the way. All right. So if you have any other lingering questions that come up after the fact, let me know or let us know. And I can, if anyone else wants a copy of this brochure, let me know with the routing number stuff and I can get that to you. So you have that handy. All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks all. We'll see you
Thanks,
next.
everyone.
Yeah, thank you all.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay.